Hi, my name is Alex Scheid, and for my FOA, I will be comparing how a pro-gun advertisement uses language to persuade its audience versus an anti-gun advertisement. So for my question, I will be answering how does the Ad Council and the National Rifle Association use language to persuade their audiences to follow their opinions on gun control. So first we'll be watching End Family Fire, an anti-gun advertisement by the Ad Council.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that.
Do I? I bet it looks like one.
Yeah, well, it's not. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
From what?
From bad guys, like on TV.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake? Their daddies probably thought they were safe too.
Where'd you hear that?
TV.
Yeah, well, maybe we don't believe everything we hear on TV.
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded?
It's not. I keep the bullets.
In the boots with the red laces, and the chest beside the bed. I haven't found them yet, but I'm sure I can. You always told me to be curious. Remember when I found my Christmas gift? I'm a good climber, you know.
No, that's not what I meant. Look, I need to be ready if someone breaks in.
What about when it's just me and Mom? You taught me to be brave. I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'll teach you how to handle a gun when you're old enough.
And what if I don't make it to old enough? I could get bullied and decide it's too much for me. It would be so easy with our gun.
Our gun? No, buddy. My gun.
But it is our gun, in our home. Happens all the time.
I'll make sure that doesn't happen. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
Today, with seasonal temperatures, we should reach our normal high of about 82 degrees by this afternoon. Clear skies tonight with a low near 70. Increasing cloudiness tomorrow, sticky and humid with a high of 56. With the winds up.
And now we'll be watching Stephen Williford, It's Not the Gun, It's the Heart, a pro-gun ad by the NRA.
My daughter came into the bedroom and she said, "Dad, there's a man in black tactical gear shooting up the Baptist church." Every one of those shots to me represented one of my neighbors, one of my friends. And I ran as fast as I could. Immediately, he came out of the church shooting at me. He hit the truck in front of me, he hit the car behind me, hit the house behind me. And I hit him. He had an AR-15, but so did I. And it's not the gun, it's the heart. It's a matter of the heart. I'm not the bravest man in the world or anything, but I was here. I was here, and I could do something. And I had to do something.
So, who are the audiences? Well, both advertisements have similar audiences for the intended purpose of their videos. The NRA is intended for audiences who want to control guns. They want them to convince them to change their opinions and to support gun usage. While the Ad Council is trying to convince parents who own guns to either, not own a gun or to securely protect their gun in their homes. So here are some quotes from both the videos that were used to persuade their audiences. So here are some quotes that are used to set up both these advertisements. The Ad Council starts it off with the kids asking the question, "Dad, do we have a gun?" Now this follows Luntz's Rules number 9, which states that when you ask a question that is much more memorable for the audience to remember. Now this also sets a serious tone for this advertisement, as guns are a very serious issue in today's society. So this question wraps up the intent and purpose of the video very well. The NRA starts it off by saying, from Stephen Wilford's perspective about his daughter coming into the room, she said, Dad, there's men in black tactical gear shooting up the Baptist church. This is a very impactful statement, and it is very memorable as he is telling the story from his perspective of that day. Now, there is even some on-screen text that says Sutherland Springs, Texas was the site of the worst church shooting in American history. Now, words that make this sentence more impactful are worst, shooting, and American history. These words help show the severity of the situation and how dangerous and important this situation was for American history. So now we'll be looking at how both of these advertisements used pathos to persuade their audiences. So the ad council appealed to the audience's emotions by the kids saying quotes like, "I can protect her," or "What if I don't make it to old enough?" Now the first quote uses both Luntz's rule number 1 and number 2, which is brevity and the use of small words. This makes it much more impactful and memorable for the audience, and maybe helps keep the message inside the audience's head. Now the next quote, "What if I don't make it to old enough?" That is an impactful question that explains how, what if the child doesn't make it past childhood? This is extremely impactful, much more memorable for the audiences, especially for parents who have kids and a gun, imagining their own children in the same situation, losing them. The NRA also uses some impactful quotes that appeal to the audience's emotion. Stephen Warford first says, "Every one of those shots represented one of my neighbors, one of my friends." This follows Luntz's rule number 1, which was the use of small words. While the words may not be complex, the message is very complex, as every one of those shots that he heard coming out of that church represented one of his members of his community being shot and killed. So it was very important for him to help protect his family, his friends. Stephen Wolford also says, "I'm not the bravest man in the world or anything, but I was here, and I could do something, and I had to do something." Now this follows Luntz's rule number 7, which is to speak aspirationally. Now he knows that he is not the bravest man in the world, but he knew that he had to help protect his friends, and he did so by going into that church and stopping the shooter. Now we can move on to the quotes that use logos, and there's only one quote, and it was used by the ad council. And they say, "But what about the 8 kids that get shot every day by mistake? Their dads probably thought they were safe too." Now this statistic helps put into perspective for the parents how dangerous the situation for family fire is, as 8 kids get shot, either getting injured or killed every day. And by asking the question, that is following Luntz's rule number 8, which also makes it more memorable for the audience. And the statistic also helps show how dangerous guns can be, and that in order for parents to keep their kids safe, they too must store their guns safely. Now here are some more quotes that both organizations use to convince their audiences and persuade them on their opinions. The ad council starts it off by saying, "Do I bet it looks like one," when the kid references a gun. The kid also says, "I'm a good climber, you know." And it ends off by saying, "I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded?" Now all of these have a similar theme in common, as it includes a statement and a question. So the questions fall under Luntz's rule number 8, and this also makes it much more memorable for the audiences. And all these quotes are almost in a row, as the kid says he's a good climber, as he thinks he is able to get to the gun because it's at the top of the closet under the sweatshirts. But then he follows up by asking, "Is it loaded?" This is a very important question, as many family members or family around the world have been known to leave their guns loaded while sitting in a dresser or in the closet, and it's very dangerous for kids to access. Some extra quotes that I pulled from the NRA's ad was, well, for example, "He hit the truck in front of me, hit the car behind me, the house behind me, and I hit him." Now this follows Luntz's rule number 6, which is how sound and texture matter. Now the words hit, 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 and the phrases in front of me, behind me, behind me, These all create a much more hearing pleasing message, and it is much more easier for the audience to remember because all the words that he uses are so similar, and they do contain a lot of musicality within them. The second quote I used was, "He had an AR-15, but so did I. It's not the gun, it's the heart. It's a matter of the heart." Now this strongly appeals to the audience's pathos because his message right here, it's not the gun, it's the heart, is the basic message for the entire advertisement itself. It's actually the quote that they use for the title of this advertisement. And basically what it's saying is, it doesn't matter if everybody in the world owns guns. Some people will use the guns for good, and some will use them for bad. And even if you don't give an evil person a gun, the evil person will still do evil things. Same with the good person. The good person can have a gun, but use it for good things. If he doesn't have the gun, he'll still do good things. So it's not the guns that we give the people, it's about what those people do with the guns. So wrap up. The Ad Council and the NRA both use very similar methods in order to get their message across. The NRA leans more towards a pathos leading side, while the Ad Council both uses pathos and logos in their ads to persuade their audiences. Now, what I can pull from this is that they're both very similar because they appeal to the audience's emotions with very serious topics. While both of them are telling a story, one of them is a true story and one of them is a hypothetical story. So the Ad Council uses a hypothetical story with a kid in order to appeal to parents' emotions about how dangerous guns can be for their kids and their family, and how 8 kids get injured or killed every day from family fire. And the NRA uses a real-life story of the Sutherland Springs shooting, which was the largest church shooting in American history, and it tells the story of the man who stopped the shooter, and how guns can be used for good as well as evil, but it just depends on the person using the guns and how they use them. So here are my sources that I use for this presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.